Good morning, esteemed delegates from all member countries, as well as Russia, Singapore, South Africa, and Canada. Thank you for taking part in today's discussion. I am the Russian Prime Minister, and I will preside over today's meeting negotiations. In this meeting, we will discuss several matters with regards international trade in food technology and security. Before that, let me explain a little bit with regards international trade. International trade has historically aided in the reduction of food insecurity by linking places with low agricultural potential and a big populations to regions with agricultural comparative advantages. It has also given consumers access to a more diverse and a helpful food selection. However, greater international collaboration is required for Commons to promote food security for the greatest number of people. Hence, as for today's agenda, we will divide it into two sessions. For the first session, we will discuss two issues, which are the term of the treaty as for mode of termination and mode of compensation. Secondly, the wording of the article regarding food aids. This session will be held for only 20 minutes for all delegates. For the second session, we will review on one issue which consists of two matters. First, the term used on the Article 12 concerning leased land, also Singapore's request for freedom of choosing to lease land. And the second matter is regarding the land requirement of leased land for agricultural purposes. This session will last about 20 minutes and will be open to all delegates. To save time in today's meeting, I will allow all member states to simply announce their position on the matter. I shall only intervene and call the meeting to a halt if I discover what the member states have made needless points or that unfavorable events have occurred. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Singapore's delegate to make the opening remark for the first issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable representatives. Singapore has already submitted the draft proposal in regards to the term of the treaty, specifically in Article 3, which is the parties to this treaty shall revise the treaty every 15 years for the purpose of term renewal and any related matter. And it has also come to my attention that several countries would like to make inputs in regarding our proposal. So I open the floor to any representative.
Hello, I'm a representative from Canada. So as suggested by Singapore that they suggest this treaty to be renewed every 15 years. However, we from Canada suggest that this treaty to be enforced indefinitely. This is because this treaty is regarding food technology and food security. Therefore, we deem that it is more suitable for this treaty to be continued in perpetuity. Maybe the other countries have any say?
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Chandraloga, the delegates from Russian Federation and the first speaker on behalf of my government. Russia agreed that the agreement would be in effect indefinitely unless either party gave the other 12 months written notice of its intention to terminate it. Russia proposed a fixed period with the expectation of renegotiation with mutual consent of the members in the event of any emergency or after 15 years for the purpose of term renewal and any other associated issues. That's all from Russia. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Charmila Krishnamurthy, representative from South Africa, pleased to join the negotiation. We agree that the agreement shall remain in force for an initial fixed period, typically 15 years. With this, there are two approaches that we would like to address significantly. The first approach is that after the end of the initial fixed term, and unless one party opts to terminate, the treaty shall continue to be enforced indefinitely as Canada suggested. Nevertheless, each party retains the right to terminate the agreement at any time by giving written notice. The second approach provides that the treaty shall continue to be enforced for additional fixed terms, in which case the treaty can be terminated only at the end of each fixed period. That's all from South Africa. We pass back to the Excellencies.
Well, since the treaty is quite specific in regards to our material obligations, Singapore is inclined to agree that the treaty shall be enforced indefinitely, but we also insist that it will be renegotiated after 15 years as proposed by Russia. Thank you.
Thank you, Singapore. Looking at the suggestion given by Russia and Singapore, we also agree with these both countries that this treaty shall be enforced indefinitely, but It shall be renegotiated after a term of 15 years for further development of this treaty.
Thank you, delegates. From the discussion, every state has mutual understanding and has agreed that this treaty will remain in force indefinitely but will be renegotiated after a term of 15 years. Now, we are moving to the next issue, which is mode on termination as per Article 19. I shall welcome Singapore's representative to provide their suggestion. You may proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, honorable representatives. I would like to direct all representatives to draft Article 19, paragraph 2, which has been proposed by Canada for the mode of termination. I found that the wordings of the said provision is quite confusing. What does it mean by the words a later treaty of the similar object? Hence, I call upon the Canadian delegation to clarify the exact meaning of the said provision. Thank you.
All right, thank you for the inquiry, Singapore. Greetings, I'm Yasmin Balkis, the representative for Canada. We would like to propose that this treaty, which is food and technology and security in terms of international trade, shall be terminated upon the entry into force of later treaty of the similar objective by all state parties. In simple words, when all of the parties in this treaty decided to make a new treaty with similar objective, this said treaty will be terminated as the new treaty shall prevail. This assertion is in accordance with the Article 59 of the Vienna Convention Law of the Treaties regarding the termination of suspension of the operation of a treaty implied by conclusion of a later treaty. It is said that under paragraph 1, a treaty shall be considered as terminated if all of the parties to it conclude a later treaty relating to the same subject matter. That is all from Canada. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada. I am Daniel Jeffrey, a delegate from South Africa. We agree with the current status of the issue in Article 19. South Africa is in the view that the new treaty or the latter treaty shall be open to other states too, as it will benefit the member states in the future and bring prosperity to the whole world. Thus, we lay our opinions parallel with Canada without any doubt. Thank you.
Thank you, South Africa. Russia agreed with Canada's proposal of the termination upon the entry into force of a later treaty of the similar objective. Russia agreed in the view that all states may obtain same degree of advantages which in line with the current technology's demand and necessity, as well as the validity of any treaties or contracts already signed under this agreement or any other international trade and investment agreement will not be affected by the modification or termination of the treaty. Thank you.
Thank you, Russia delegates. Following the conversation, each state has reached an agreement on Canada's proposal, which is mode of termination shall be terminated upon the entry into force of a later treaty of the similar objective by all the state parties. Without undue delay, I shall allow Russia's representative to bring their suggestion for the mode of compensation. You are free to go ahead.
Thank you, Chairperson. Russia would like to proceed regarding mode of compensation upon termination by material breach or by notice rather than it solved through arbitration. Russia suggested that the party shall enter into negotiations with other member states in order to negotiate on mutually agreed compensation between the injured party and the defaulting state or with both states. The proposed reimbursement is that the respondent must have a benefit equivalent to the benefit that the respondent has nullified, such as tariff reduction. Regarding the suggestion given by Russia, may I know other countries' opinion or suggestion regarding the issue? Please be welcomed.
Thank you, Russia. I'm Johan, representative of South Africa. Would like to suggest arbitration as the way to resolve such termination, as it would be more appropriate in the sense that all member states would want a just result. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, we Canada agrees to the proposal proposed by the South Africa as for the mode of compensation, which is by the way of arbitration. That is all. Thank you.
The Singaporean delegation also wholly agrees with the proposals on compensation and the means of arbitration in order to accomplish the matter. Thank you.
So, as from my understanding on this discussion, Russia suggests a mode of compensation upon termination by material breach or by notice, rather than solve it through arbitration. Meanwhile, delegates from South Africa and Canada would agree on the matter breach to be brought to the arbitration. On the other hand, Singapore would agree for both compensation and arbitration. We do take note that a common ground is yet to be. Hence, another further deliberation in another session is required. Without further delay, I shall invite Singapore's representative for their opening remarks for the last issue as for the first session on the wording of the article regarding food aids to countries in crisis. You may proceed.
Hello everyone, thank you Mr. Chairman, and my name is Nur Farhana. I am the representative from Singapore. Ladies and gentlemen, on the issue of food security, Singapore would like to suggest that each country must provide food assistance to any state party to this treaty in times of crisis. We are of the view that since this treaty is for the purpose of securing food security, in times of crisis, every state is required to be proactive in sending food aids to each other. This is due to the fact that some countries are really at a disadvantage like us, whereby the agricultural production in Singapore is not enough to deliver to the needs of our people, and as such, about 90% of the country's food comes from overseas imports, making food security an important issue for us. Hence, we open for suggestions from other states regarding this matter. Please welcome.
Sorry, is there anything from Canada delegation?
Mr. Chairman, I
Your
think
Honorary.
working.
Thank you, Singapore. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. I am Georgina, a representative from Canada, agrees on the term that all states have the obligation to assist other state parties in order to ensure every state will do their part accordingly. This provision shall not limit the right of either party to take any action for the protection of its food security interests. That is all from Canada. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Kirishma, a delegate from Russia. So Russia suggests states must also prioritize themselves in times of crisis. So we would suggest the terms to be written as each country must provide food assistance to any state party to this treaty in times of crisis, but not to their detriment. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellencies. We representative of South Africa agree with Russia, but suggest avoiding any skyrocketing of food prices and free trade in the food crisis. We want to address that food crisis is not predicated by anyone. Hence, in this case, the South Africa suggests to avoid any skyrocketing of food prices and free trade. The global food crisis and the likelihood of higher food prices in the future are particularly salient in this international trade in agriculture and food. Hence, the food trade should be reformed through several key steps that make trade in agricultural commodities freer yet more secure. We assume that all tariffs in the trade during food crisis are set to zero. We focus instead on understanding the impact on trade, production and resource allocation in crisis. That's all from me. However, my deputy would like to add on. Thank you.
Thank you, Camila. Greetings to all. My name is Haris from South Africa. To add on, in our opinion, the word must seems like we seek to punish parties if they disobey. However, we must remember that we make this treaty as multinational biodiversity plan, which will help not one party, but all four of us here to restore and sustainably manage the ecosystems that support our food security. Even if this treaty won't end food insecurity in the near future, but at least it could end the food insecurity's worst consequences as soon as possible. Hence, we agree with the term must. Back to you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, South Africa delegates. From my observation in this discussion, all delegates have the final say and agree on the terms that must provide food assistance to any state party to this treaty in times of crisis. Before we proceed to our second session, let us have some break. Welcome back, delegates, and let's get started on our second session. I would like to invite representatives from South Africa to raise their issue on the first matter, the term used to the Article 12 concerning leased land. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. On the behalf of South Africa, regarding to the Article 12, where every country will lease its land for the purpose of agriculture, we would like to raise our concern on the usage of the word will, that we believe the usage of the word will should be substituted with the word may, as we believe that the word will is too authoritative in nature, as some country will be disadvantaged if the word will is imposed. So, on the behalf of South Africa, we would like this issue to be addressed by other countries as well. Thank you.
Thank you, South Africa, for raising the issue and concern. Greeting to Mr. Chairperson and all delegates. Representing my country, Russia, I, Anissa, would like to state that we, the Russian Federation, would prefer the use of word will instead of may, as these two words bring different meanings. Will is more of an obligation to lease land, while may give options to the other states, whether to lease or otherwise. That's all from Russia. Thank you.
Hello, esteemed chair and representative representing the state of Singapore. I am Fasiha as the Minister of Trade. It is my obligation to address this matter. We are deeply concerned with the usage of the word will mentioned in Article 12, as we would like to remind other states that pertaining to these obligations of the word will, some countries will be at disadvantage, such as Singapore. Hence, I would like some consideration and attention from other states to marshal and discuss the term mentioned. I yield the floor for an open discussion. Thank you.
Mr. Chairperson, respected delegates, I am Adlina Helwani, and on behalf of the Canadian government, we agree with South Africa and Singapore, as the word may is much more suitable since land matters under Article 12 should be decided independently by each state. We also would like to emphasize that it should be subjected to the agreement between the states involved. That is all from us. Thank you, Your Excellencies.
Good day, everyone. I am Sarah, and I will proceed with my previous minister's bargaining together with my other representative, Uminajwa. As previously stated, we are at a disadvantage when it comes to land lease, we referring to Singapore. Hence, Singapore would like to request for freedom of choosing to lease land. In return, we kindly offer a few things relating to intellectual property licensing, since we foresee that in this agreement, there will be a lot of exchange of technological equipment and other related machinery and systems that we, Singapore, have developed. For example, our country has worked with China in conducting R&D and managed to come up with a Sky-Greens vertical vegetable farming system. Also, Panasonic, the Japanese electrical appliance company, now owns the first indoor farm license by our country. Nevertheless, we must admit that we are having geographical and many other disadvantages which induce us to partake in this international cooperation. Therefore, I pass the floor to my representative to present to you some offers from our country. Please welcome Minajwa.
Appreciate it, Ms. Sarah. Greetings to all delegates. As per discussed, we, Singapore, would like to propose a few things. The first, instead of protecting this technological equipment and related machinery under patent, Singapore would like to offer all states a request for licensing. The renewal of license shall be done yearly, yet Singapore would like to offer the parties of the treaty to renew it for every term of 5 years. The renewal of license is to ensure that the technological equipment is utilized well, and we are delighted to emphasize that the rules and regulations concerning this matter are loosened up to prioritize the parties of the treaty. Second, on the other hand, Singapore would like to offer mutual ownership for technological equipment and machinery developed together in accordance with Article 7 of the Agreement on Trade-Related Aspect of Intellectual Property Rights or TRIPS Agreement. The protection and enforcement of intellectual property should contribute to the promotion of technological innovation and to the transfer and dissemination of technology to the mutual advantage of producers and users of technological knowledge, and in a manner conducive to social and economic welfare and to a balance of rights and obligations. Therefore, through this international agreement, we are looking forward to assisting and providing opportunities for all the benefiting countries to improve their technological advancement in agriculture and farming, while at the same time working together with us to increase productivity and smoothness in the trade affairs. It is very much appreciated if this demand of ours is to be considered and accepted by all without further conditions. Thank you.
Greetings, Member of Representative from Singapore. First of all, thank you for submitting our suggestion on regards to the land lease requirement just now. I can see that South Africa and Singapore share a common interest in developing both our country agricultural sector. It is indeed encouraged in this treaty for member states to share or jointly develop technologies for the common benefit. In the draft, South Africa had proposed each state may have joint venture to develop, research, and to produce agricultural products, while at the same time we suggested that jointly developed intellectual property shall be co-owned by the entity created for the purpose of the joint venture. On regard to Singapore's suggestion, South Africa is agreed to accept it. However, it shall be subjected to agreement between our country pursuant to the draft created in Article 12 of this treaty. Thank you.
Greetings to Mr. Chairperson and all delegates. I am Yurdanis, a representative from the Russian Federation. As far as we are concerned, the issue raised by Singapore from our draft convention is related to Article 12, lease of land for agricultural purposes, and Article 14, intellectual property. First of all, regarding the issue of the exception from contributing land request by Singapore, Russia will agree to exempt Singapore from leasing their land for agricultural purposes with one condition, where Singapore must in return provide technology advancement. The technology needed is specifically to produce meat and dairy products such as meat processing technology in the lab. Since Russia is a major importer of meat, importing about 1/4 of all meat consumed in the country, hence Russia needs food technology from Singapore to reduce the import activities, as Russia is a country that does self-farming. Next, Ms. Nisa will continue further regarding the technology use licensing offered by Singapore.
Hello and greetings. My name is Nisa, and as the representative for Russian Federation, in addition to the suggestion, Russia would agree for the technology use licensing that had been discussed with Singapore as an exchange to exclude Singapore from contributing the land for lease. However, Russia has a condition for the technology use licensing that will be provided, where Russia would like to trade if Singapore provided a reasonable period of time for the technology licensing for Russia, where Russia wants it to be in line with the duration of the lease of land that will be given to the Singapore. If Singapore agreed to this requirement stated, then the exception to Singapore to contribute land for lease by exchanging technology instead is agreed by Russia. As for the Singapore trade for the mutual ownership of the technology, along with the request for the technology use licensing, Russia agreed for it with the conditions that had been stated. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I am Muzaffar Yazid on behalf of the Canadian government. We would like to state that we agree and support with Singapore's recommendation to exclude themselves from contributing land on one condition, that the state of Singapore must also agree to provide patent license in exchange for the land lease contributed by other states, and Singapore must also provide with the facilities as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Canada, for the speech. Based on my understanding, South Africa would suggest that the term may be used instead of will. In addition, Canada and Singapore agreed with South Africa's suggestion. Only Russia would recommend the use of will rather than may. Hence, there's no final say on this matter, and I shall bring this matter to another discussion. In different circumstances, Singapore's representative would like to request for freedom of choosing to lease land, and in exchange, they will provide licensing and technology. From this suggestion, all delegates would agree, but with some conditions. Now, we have already come to our very last matter on our second issue regarding the land requirement of lease, land for agricultural purposes. Thus, I shall invite delegates from Russia for their opening remark.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Greetings to Mr. Chairperson and all delegates. I am Kirishma, and we, the Russian Federation, proposed a term under Article 12 stating that for the states that wish to lease the land, they are required to develop the infrastructure on the leased land and practice agriculture activities on it without doing any damage to the land. May I hear opinions from other states?
Pertaining to this matter, Singapore would like to suggest the word required be changed to allowed or encourage or may. Thank you.
Thank you, delegates of Singapore. On behalf of South Africa, we would like to agree with Singapore as the usage of the word required is too authoritative, where it might restrict the state's freedom to decide the matters. And we agree that the usage of word allowed or encourage or may would be more suitable in the context compared to the word required. Thank you from us.
Your Excellency, Mr. Chairperson and respected delegate of the member states, speaking on behalf of Canada, we have different opinion regarding the suggestion and points made by South Africa and Singapore. On behalf of Canada, we are of the view that the term used in Article 12 is the term required is correct, as the said matter falls to the state responsibility to develop such infrastructure once they have agreed to lease the land. Such freedom for the state should not become an issue due to the state's decision to lease the land. In Canada's understanding, this matter will be concluded subject to the agreement between the member states involved in this matter. Therefore, Canada would also like to hear the opinion of other states concerning this matter. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, I'm Iman once again from the State of Singapore. We concur with regards to the contention of clause raised by South Africa and the freedom raised by Canada, where here we would like to suggest the insertion of a provision requiring of the land to be subject to an agreement among the state members. This agreement may consist of the minimum size of land, the term of lease, purpose and usage of the land, the division of profits and benefits and other agreeable terms. Hence, Singapore would like to invite other states to share opinions with regards to this suggested provision. Thank you.
Your Excellencies, we, the Russian Federation, agrees to Singapore's suggestion, but there are a few restrictions on the leased land that the member state must comply with that Russia would like to propose. First, Russia would like to highlight that on the leased land, the member state cannot carry out other activity other than agricultural activities and may develop the infrastructure on the leased land. Second, the member state cannot do any damage on the leased land and also the environment. Next, I will pass to Ms. Kirishma to continue.
Thank you, Ms. Anissa. So we would like to add that the Russian Federation wants the state that leased the land here to cultivate the land before using it for agriculture. In return, we also want 30% of the yields from the leased land. Other than that, advanced technologies that are used on the land need to be tested for 3 years first before we start to implement this. If risk of using the advanced technologies are found, Russia wants to be able to stop the usage of the said technology to prevent further harm. We would also like to impose mandatory collaboration between specialists from foreign companies and Russian scientists. Due to us having specific requirements, we agree that the requirement of the land is subject to the agreement of the state. We would also like to clarify that we agree on the first suggestion made by Singapore where the word required is to be changed, but want to make safe agriculture practices mandatory for all states. Thank you. That's all from Russia.
Your Excellency, Mr. Chairperson and the respected delegates of the member states, on behalf of Canada, considering the points made by the member states, we would like to express our view in which Canada agrees to the points made by the state of Singapore, South Africa, and Russia on the changes of the term required under Article 12. Canada would also agree to the suggestion made by the Russian government that such agriculture practice must be done without harm to others. That is all from Canada. Thank you.
Thank you for your speech, Canada delegate. From the discussion, every state has mutual understanding concerning this matter. Hence, I would like to emphasize that all delegates will agree to change the word required to allowed. Thus, to conclude, every state has addressed their concerns and found mutual understanding to every issue, except the issue regarding the mode of compensation and the term used on the Article 12 concerning leased land, either the term of may or will. Henceforth, we shall adjourn this session, and another session will be held to negotiate further on the mode of compensation that is raised by Russia delegate and the term used on the Article 12 concerning leased land, either the term of may or will that raised by the South Africa. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, delegates, for your time and indulgence.